So many men here, at least in the U.S., call in and talk about how difficult it is to meet women, how they don't know what women want anymore these days, how they just say that, you know, women really don't want to be married so much anymore. And this is the first time in our country's history where single households outnumber married households. That's the first time it's ever happened in the United States. So there is a trend going towards less marriage. And there's also a trend of people getting married later in life. That's happening as well. So when you add all these things together, you know, it would just make sense for the men to actually go over and meet. But for some reason, they don't. And I've come up with about 10 different reasons over the years that I've kind of compiled that I think are probably the top 10 reasons why men will not avail themselves to an opportunity such as this. And I'm going to go over these tonight. We're going to discuss them a little bit in detail. And in between, I'm going to answer your questions, okay? So let's, first of all, get back in here and answer a couple questions here. David, if you can hear me now, because you sent in a question saying that you were having a hard time connecting. So go ahead and send me another one if you're connected. I'd like to see that. Hopefully you did get connected, because I think they cleaned that little technical mess up, and you should be connected to us now, okay? All right. Let's see, Bob's got a question here. I understand that you should keep any future relationship with a girl from Ukraine within a generation, but what if a girl in Ukraine says in her profile age doesn't matter? Can you count on what she says in her profile? And can it still work out even if the guy is older and there's an age gap? All right, Bob. Well, you know, there's no saying, don't believe everything you read. And just because you put something in your profile or the woman puts something in her profile does not necessarily mean that's gospel. So if she says age doesn't matter, well, what does that really mean? I mean, age may matter at some point to her. It may not matter right now as she's writing this profile, but when she meets you, all of a sudden it may matter. Or after she marries you, it may matter. Or 5 years down the road, it may matter. So, you know, you really have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, and it really depends on the woman herself. I know couples with 40-year age differences that do very, very well. And I know couples with basically the same age, I mean, maybe a 1 or 2 year age difference that end in disaster. So the age difference is not always, the main factor of whether or not a relationship is going to work or not. There are many other factors involved in that. But there are rule of thumbs that you can talk about here, okay? Again, I've been doing this for a long time, and what I've seen, trends now, I'm not talking about absolute specifics, but I'm just talking about generalities. And I guess, you know, if you play the odds here, the percentages. So I would say that in the countries that we go to, which are much more age elastic, by the way, than the United States is probably the less age tolerant of differences of any other country I've ever been to. And I've been to lots and lots of different countries. And for some reason in this country, if there's, you know, more over a 5-year age difference, it seems, all of a sudden you're getting funny looks, or it's very difficult to achieve if you are the man. Unless, of course, you know, you're ultra rich or you're a movie star or something like that, then it doesn't seem to matter, and no one ever gives those guys a second look. And it's just fine if someone like, I don't know, Tony Randall or somebody has a wife that's, you know, 1,000 years younger than he is, you know, or was, I guess. And I've always found that fascinating and interesting, why us guys, if we have someone who's maybe 20, 25 years younger, all of a sudden, you know, there's something wrong with that relationship. Never understood that. So I would tell you that the rule of thumb is that, you know, if it's a, you know, a 10, 15, even 20-year age difference, then, you know, it's really not a big deal. And for most of these women. And, you know, once you start getting much over a 20-year age difference, 25, 30-year age difference, you got to be a little bit more careful of everyone's agenda, right? What do they really want out of that relationship? And maybe it's perfectly fine. Maybe that they're both very open, they're both on the same page, and the chemistry is really good, and the maturity level of the woman is matching the maturity level of the man, yet the man's willing to do the things that that woman would like to do, you know, when he was 30 years younger, and he's still willing to go back and do a lot of those things. So if all that's playing, you know, right, and the couples are really compatible that way, then it can work really well. But I will tell you that when I'm on these tours, I see that the men are the ones that have more of an issue or more of a problem with the age difference than the women. The women are usually like, hey, it's just a number, it's just an age. I feel fine about it. And the men are like, oh my gosh, It's a 20-year age difference here. I don't know if I can deal with this. And it just depends. You know, you gotta, my partner has a great saying, you gotta have the game to cover the spread. So if you are gonna have a larger age difference, then you've gotta be willing to make sure you're up to that and you're gonna deal with that. If you're, you know, 55, 60 years old and you wanna marry someone who's, you know, early 30s, mid 30s, and you like to watch Wheel of Fortune at 8 o'clock at night and go to bed at 8:30 with a cup of warm milk, that might not just work too well for the woman that you're marrying, right? I mean, you understand what I'm saying. It's a little bit of an extreme example, but you get what I'm saying there. So, but again, the age difference isn't the only thing that's going to dictate whether that marriage works or not, or that relationship works or not. There's a lot of other things that are in play when you're talking about that. But that's a great question. I hope that helps. All right. All right, so we do have a question here from YouTube, one of our YouTube listeners, that I was just handed. Breaking news here, breaking news. This is from Mark asking, are we going to be doing any seminars in the Northeast? You know, Mark, we do seminars in the Northeast. I know we've done them in DC area, we've done them in New York, we just did one in Cleveland not too long ago. I was just over in, I believe it was Chicago doing them. I know we did one in Detroit not too, that's where I was in Detroit actually. I think Bud was in Chicago. So we just finished quite a bit of seminars in the Northeast. I know we don't have any schedule, I believe we don't have any schedule right now for the Northeast, but they will be coming back there, I promise you. We've also done, I know I was in Boston, that was probably about a year and a half ago or so, and we did one there as well. But we will get back to the Northeast as soon as possible. I love that side of the country. All right. All right. So hopefully I answered that question about the age difference well. Before I get, we're getting all kinds of questions here, and I'm going to get to your guys' questions, and I appreciate that. But I want to get to some of our top 10 reasons why men don't do or take advantage of international introductions and dating. When I say take advantage of it, I don't mean getting on your computer and playing keyboard Romeo, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about sending letters back and forth forever and doing all the virtual communication, okay? Because anyone can do that, and that's pretty easy. And unfortunately, I would say that 95% of the guys that do that never get off their butts and go over and actually meet the women in person, okay? So I'm talking about actually meeting the women in person, either on a group tour or going over individually. We have ways to do it where you don't have to go on a group tour. You can go over on what we call a club tour, where it's an individual situation where you're just working one-on-one with the couples, okay? But, all right, so let's talk about why the top 10 reasons that men don't avail themselves. Okay, reason number, and I'll do this in reverse order here. So reason number 9, it's not real. Okay, so men start thinking, well, you know, is this really real? Does this happen? And you know, I had some slides here prepared. I'm sorry, we had a little technical issues, so I can't be showing you those. But you're looking at this wonderful video. I was just on that tour with that gentleman in that picture and talking to those 2 women. I was just there a month and a half ago. This is brand new footage of that man meeting these women. And I was there. It is real, guys, I'm telling you. We have had so much media done about us over the years here. I mean, from BBC to New Times is local here, but 60 Minutes, Nightline, WeTV, Discovery Channel, Oprah Winfrey Network with Lisa Ling, Sacramento Bee, Inside Edition. Then they've done movies about us. They've done documentaries about us. I mean, we've been looked at every which way from Sunday. I mean, I'm telling you guys, this is something that you can sink your teeth into. It is real. You can check us out on the Better Business Bureau. We have an A+ rating there after 23 years of doing this. Now, I can see guys worried about that the first few years. Okay, what's really going to happen? This is in its infancy. Is it really going to work? And all that. But after 23 years with thousands and thousands of men that have availed themselves of our tours in that time period, you would think by now that guys would be a little more comfortable with this. But, you know, it's still difficult. That gentleman there, Tom, who you're seeing right there, was fantastic on this. That guy is one of the nicest gentlemen you ever want to meet, and he did so well meeting a woman that he really fell head over heels with. Okay, I love commenting on this because I was just on that tour, and I'm seeing these guys, and I'm remembering all the conversations, all the things that happened when we were there during those socials, and it was just so much fun. All right. So that's number one that I think some guys, you know, look at and try to talk themselves out of doing something like that by saying, oh, is it real? It's really not real. Well, it is real. That gentleman there that you're seeing, fantastic guy. That guy, I mean, you can see he was just smiling the whole time, and the women loved him, and he did very, very well. They all did, actually. Okay. Number two, it can't work for me. Guys, the only way this will ever work for you is if you actually go and try it. You know, you get out of that chair, you start really planning it, and you get over and you do it. That gentleman that you're seeing there right now, he just called me today. Guess where he is? He's back in Kyiv. And he just got done dating a wonderful woman that he spent 5 days with, and he's still thinking how and what's going to happen with that. But he just called me from the Ukraine. He couldn't wait, for another tour or anything, so he just went back on his own. Of course, we have support there and offices there, so they were helping him. But yeah, I just talked to JD this morning. Just wonderful, wonderful guy. All right, keep moving on here. I'm going to answer a question, then I'll get to to finish, it can't work for me before I go to the questions here. You have to make the commitment to actually do something like this to ever know if it'll work for you or not, okay? Just to tell yourself, well, maybe it works for other guys, but it's not going to work for me. No, it's never going to happen. All right. Number three, what would my friends and family think? Okay. Personally, I don't really care. And that goes back to the stigma of, oh my gosh, international introductions and all that. And guys, I can tell you that, again, we've been doing this for so long, and I've had guys not do it because their family was saying, oh, you can't do something like this. What could happen? It could be dangerous. It could be this. It could be that. And they just don't do it year after year after year. Yet they keep looking at it. They keep calling me. They keep talking about it, but they don't do it. They don't avail themselves of that opportunity. And all I can tell you is that if you worry about what other people think, if you worry about what the guy down the street says when he's already had 2 divorces and he sits in the bar drinking beer, crying about why he can't meet anybody, yet he's telling you that you are making a mistake by going over and trying something like this, well then, you're never going to be successful. You're never going to have that opportunity. You have to make up the mind that this is something for you, that you want to try this and you're doing it for yourself. Then you'll be successful. All right? All right. Let me get to a couple questions, and then we'll get to number 7 on the list here. All right? All right. Let me see here. This is coming from Charles. Has there ever been any problems during the tour? Guys getting too drunk or disorderly? No, Charles, that's never happened in 23 years. We have never had one issue on a tour. And if you believe that, I have this wonderful bridge here in Phoenix to sell you over a dry riverbed. Actually, we do have some bridges over dry riverbeds, but I don't own any of them. Of course we've had issues in the 23 years of doing tours. Of course we have. And any company that would tell you they've never had an issue is just crazy or they're not doing tours. I mean, when you take groups of guys overseas and you're doing, introductions and dating, I could write a book on all the things that have happened. But I will say that, none of the problems have been anything that have been, very severe, and we've been able to, solve any issues that we've had, and we help the guys. That's one wonderful thing about going over on a group tour is that the support that you get from the office, if you are having any difficulties or problems, or even if you're causing the problems yourself. Okay, I'll tell you a little story. I was the last tour, we had a gentleman who I love. He is fantastic. But sometimes when guys go over, they get a little nervous or they're on vacation and they're thinking that, they may want to just let their hair down a little bit and drink a little bit more than they normally do. And one thing I got to warn you about too, guys, is that if you're just having like a regular beer over in the Ukraine or in some of the other, like Colombia or even China, some of the places we go, the alcohol can tend to be a little bit stronger than what you're used to. And then you, factor in the jet lag and some other things, it may hit you a little bit stronger than it normally does. And this gentleman, on his first night, drank quite a bit. And we had to help him make sure that he did not harm himself or cause any problems on that first night. But then, we had a little talk the next day, and for the rest of the tour, he was absolutely fine. So it's really, really important to you that you know that we're there for you and we're going to help, and we understand that these kind of things can happen. Or anything else. If you get sick, we've had clients that have gotten sick during the tour and needed medical attention, maybe even needed to be hospitalized. I mean, of course that's going to happen over 23 years when you deal with thousands and thousands of individuals. That happens with any tour company, and we're no exception, but we do an amazing and fantastic job of helping to make sure that those people are taken care of properly. And again, in 23 years, guys, we haven't lost anybody yet, knock wood, this is wood here, that didn't want to be lost. We do have some few guys that just never want to come back, but hey, that was their choice. All right. Moving on here to our top 10 list of why men don't avail themselves to something like this, because it is so cool, so fun, and possibly life-changing. Why wouldn't someone do this? Why would someone go to like Club Med instead of doing something like this? Or go on some other vacation instead of doing something like this? If you're a single man and you're serious about finding a real relationship, why wouldn't you avail yourself to this? And I've come up with a little bit of a list of things, top 10 things that I feel are some reasons, or some excuses, I should say, why guys don't go on something like this. And here's another one. It's too expensive. I love that one. I mean, I think that one is just hilarious because, guys, I'm here to tell you that I believe that the group tours and even the individual club is the most or the best value option for a single man that you will ever find, both in terms of travel and vacation and in terms of introductions and dating assistance. There's just nothing else out there that even comes close to comparing with what we offer. And I say that with 23 years worth of experience. If you can come up with something that you feel is a better value than what we offer, then you need to let me know. Now, having said that, if it's too expensive for you right now, if you can't afford the trip at this time in your life, then that's fine. That's a totally valid reason, and this is the last thing I would want you to do is maybe go out and have to borrow money to do this or something like that. This should be something that you're comfortable with doing because you're looking towards getting married. And if you're getting married and you're thinking about that, then economically you should be in a decent position, right? So yeah, those are two totally separate things to me. One is value, which I think this is the best value. As a matter of fact, we have, and I wish I had this slide here for you today, I could be showing you, but we actually have a slide on our site that we compared our tours with 3 other just regular tours that take you over and just do regular sightseeing. And they were on like East West, Expedia, Globus, that kind of thing. And, and they were both about the same duration. And when you looked at it, you saw that our tours were actually the same or less expensive than their tours. And their tours didn't include one single introduction to a single wonderful, beautiful woman. And ours include hundreds and hundreds of introductions to these women. Yet, you're paying the same amount of money. We had a gentleman once there's a video on the site that shows this. He was going to go to China, and he was younger. He's about in his mid to late 20s, and his parents really didn't want him to go alone. So they said, if you're going to go to Shenzhen, you want to go to Shenzhen, we really want you to use the services of a tour company so that we feel better that you're going to be taken care of and safe. So he started looking online for a tour company, and he found ours and compared it to some of the others he was finding, and he found that our prices were less than the other ones he was looking at. And even though he wasn't really looking to meet someone for a serious relationship in marriage, he was open to it. He said, okay, why not? And he went on our tour, and he was so pleasantly surprised when he got there, and he was taken care of. All the logistics and everything were just done for him, didn't have to worry about anything. And then he went to the socials and started meeting all these beautiful Chinese women. And then he went to the hospitality room and had them set up dates for him and help him with everything he needed. And he was amazed at how much fun he was having because he didn't feel like a regular tourist because he was on this tour, which isn't really a group tour. It is more of an introductions tour, so that the women that he was meeting were the ones taking him out, showing him all the sights. Instead of getting on a bus every day with the same group and going to this, these different places to look at and take pictures and all that, he was going out on dates with women who were taking him to these places and showing him these places from a more of a local's perspective. So he felt like an insider. And the women are very proud of their city. They're going to take you to all these different places and show you these things. And he felt great about it and came in and actually did a video for us, and because he was really appreciative of the experience he had during the tour. All right, so guys, again, I think if anyone out there can show me a better value for the money than what we offer during our tours, because I know what matchmaking companies offer here, just to introduce you to, maybe a handful of women, you can pay thousands and thousands of dollars for that, for domestic matchmaking companies here, as opposed to what we do, where we give you an amazing trip. I mean, just a phenomenal experience. And then add in all the matchmaking, all the women that you're going to meet for the prices that we charge. There is no better value out there. So the expensive thing, unless it really is a case where you don't have the funds, it just doesn't work for me. All right, I want to get back to some of the questions here, and then we'll get back to our list of why men are not doing this. All right, or some men, I should say. I gotta say, guys, our tours now are getting more and more popular. The China tour that we're having right now, it's sold out before it went, and those guys are having the time of their life. I just talked to my partner Ken, who's leading that tour right now in Shenzhen, China, and they just had their 2 socials this weekend, and it went fantastic. Beautiful women attending the social. The guys are doing very well. He was telling me a few stories. It's just, it's great. Guys are doing great. And we have a Medellin tour coming up here, which only has 3 spots left on it. We just put that up on the site today. That's going to sell out. The last one we did, the Medellin, sold out. So, more and more of you guys are starting to avail yourself to this opportunity of actually meeting the women in person, instead of just sitting there and having these virtual relationships where you never go and meet. And I think that's amazing. I think it's great. All right, next question here. Let's see. Barring any problems, this is coming, well, actually, let me go back here because some of these guys have been waiting longer. Okay, this is coming from Chris. Chris is asking, why do some women wear rings on their left hand in this footage? Okay, well, if a woman's wearing a ring on the left hand, it's not indicative that she's married, because actually that in the Ukraine at least, it's on the right, not the left. But it is just a ring, just like people here would wear rings on their right hands, right? Just a ring. But it's not really a sign of engagement or marriage. Okay. Actually, you'll notice that in the Ukraine, it's just a different tradition where they wear the wedding rings or the engagement ring on the right instead of the left. Okay, all right. Let's get going here to this next question here. You guys asking so many questions. I love it. It's great. Where do women speak English well? That's coming from Donnie. All right, Donnie, that's easy. Philippines. Out of all the places that we go, the women speak English much better. Don't look at me like that. My board operator over there, who's married to a wonderful Filipino woman, Rana, who has great English, by the way. Rana, he just kind of smirked at me when I said Philippines. But no, in the Philippines, everyone does understand and speak English. There may be a little bit of an accent, but they do understand and speak English there. They're taught it in school and they use it. And so when you go there, you will be able to communicate to them, and you'll get used to the accent as it goes. The rest of the locations we go to, I would say probably the second highest English speaking would be probably the Ukraine, especially the larger cities in the Ukraine like Kiev. You'll find that there are quite a few women that speak English. The education level there is amazing, and many of the women now, especially younger women, are taught English in school, and they may not use it a lot, so when they first meet you, they may be a little hesitant to try and use it because they don't want to look foolish, but as they get more comfortable with you and feel a bit better, then yeah, it starts to come out a little bit more. So I would say, excuse me, Ukraine would be the second. And then after that, it's pretty easy or level between Latin America and Asia. Not as much English speaking in places like Costa Rica or Colombia. Not to say that when you go to a social, there aren't going to be women there that speak English, but just the percentage is going to be, well, it's going to be basically 100% in the Philippines. It's going to be at the social sometimes as high as 45, 50% or more in the Ukraine at certain socials. And I would say in China and in Latin America, it's probably going to be a little bit closer to about maybe 25, 30%, somewhere around there. Okay? Hopefully that answers your question. All right. Real quick, we have Charles here. He's saying, hi all, looking forward to an epic tour in July 2018, and it will be. Those summer tours, and I don't know where you're going. I'm assuming maybe the Ukraine, but those summer tours are just something you got to experience. I'm telling you, they are, but the summer tours tend to be a little bit larger, all kinds of moving parts going on, and just a lot of fun. It will be epic. I love that description of being epic. It's great. Think about it, guys. We've been doing this for 23 years. I've been to probably just under 400 socials in all that time, and every social is different. Like this one that you're looking at right now, a fantastic social. You can see there's numbers on the table. Guys are moving around. Look at the size of those tables. Look at all those different women there. Every social is different. The setting's different. The feel's different. Somewhat the way we're conducting it's different. But I'll tell you, if you can go just to a few of these, you'll definitely want to go again. I tell this story a lot, but one of the biggest complaints I had, or I should say the best complaint I ever had, was from a tour client who was on our tour, and at the end of the tour he said, John, the biggest complaint I have about this tour is that it worked, and I can't do it again. All right, so yes, Charles, it will be an epic tour, and I am looking forward to you going out there and then giving me a call back and letting me know what you thought about it. All right, let's move on now to our list of issues of why men may not take the opportunity to avail themselves to these tours. We've already talked about it's not real, can't work for me, what my friends or family would think, too expensive, those kind of things. The next one I think some guys might think about is it's too far. That would be number 5 on the list. It's too far. You know, guys, yeah, it's not like going down to your corner bar, right, and meeting Jane right there at the bar stool and saying, hey, let's get hitched, right? You got to put just a little bit more effort into this to make it work, all right? But that's one of the reasons why I really think that these tours have a longer success rate than domestic marriages. I just have less spousal abuse than domestic marriages. These are studies that were done by the Justice Department. And there's also many academic studies that have been done. We've had sociologists go on our tour. We've had psychologists go on our tour. We've had all kinds of different academia look at our tours and do these studies. And this is normally what they come out with. And so I think one of those reasons is that both the men and the women are putting a little bit more effort into this, trying to find the right significant other, not just any significant other, right? And so they're traveling the world in the case of the men, and the women are availing themselves to men who are coming from different areas of the world to find that right person, not just limiting the search for that special someone, for their mate, to the same people that they grew up with, the same individuals in that small little population that they know, that they're familiar with, that they're comfortable with. And that's really what it comes down to, right? Being comfortable, being familiar. We don't want to go outside of our space. We don't want to try something different. And that's why so many men and women will just settle and just marry people that are very close to them, very much like them. But unfortunately, as we see here in the United States, we experience more than a 50% divorce rate. So does that really work? Is that really the answer? Because the divorce rate is less than that with intercultural marriages. And why is that? Well, I think one of the reasons is that the men and the women are both taking the time to find that right person, no matter where that person comes from. And guess what? If you were doing all these searches, yet you still end up marrying someone that is from your hometown, from your area, then that's great, that's fine. But at least you did your due diligence. At least you went out and you looked and you still found that this person that was close to you was your best option, and that's great. But why wouldn't you avail yourself to that search? I mean, some people put more search and more time and effort into a search for the car they're going to buy than the wife they're going to marry. And that's ridiculous, as far as I'm concerned. All right. So the too far thing doesn't really hold water with me, except I will say there is an advantage for being too far, is that your mother-in-law is probably about 8,000 miles away or so. And that can always be nice. No, I'm just kidding. I love my mother-in-law. She's great, so don't send any nasty letters or anything to me about that. All right. getting back to questions here. Hold on 1 second here. And we're going to go a little bit later today, guys. We're not going to end it just at 6, well, be 9:30, be 9:30 your time. We're not going to end it at 9:30 Eastern, just because we started about 15 minutes late, so we're going to go a little bit longer here today. All right. Barring any problems, on the average, how long does the visa process take until she can come to the States? I will tell you that the average time has been running about 5 to 6 months. Seems like it might be ticking up just a little bit. It might start taking a little bit longer, but it's been about 5 to 6 months. So we'll see. And we're going to have a good example here soon, because I just got a phone call today from one of our executive clients who just returned and told me that he is starting the fiancé visa process. Actually, he was calling in for to get Lori Wu's information. So congratulations out there to you. You know who you are. I love to hear those things, and I wish both of them the best. All right. But yeah, it's about 5 to 6 months, somewhere in that time frame. All right. Let's get on with it here to, actually we're counting down here, so this would be number 4 on the list of why men do not avail themselves to this opportunity. Number 4 would be, I'll do it later. I'll get to it. No, you probably won't. And I can say that with certainty, because if you're thinking about this and you've been thinking about it for a little while, but you're saying, I may do this, but I'll do it later, you probably won't, because I had guys at our seminars in Texas this weekend who were telling me they've been looking at us for 15 years. One gentleman, 15 years. Another guy, 10 years, 12 years. So chances of you doing it, you may, after all that time, after 15 years or 20 years, you may avail yourself to this opportunity, but why wait? Why would you wait all those years and waste all those years? Robert, who is married to a wonderful woman, Marlon, from the Philippines, who we met through us. Actually, I walked her down the aisle, was telling me a story about a gentleman he was talking to who went on our tour, met a wonderful woman in the Philippines, and Robert happened to be there, and he was standing next to him, and the man looked somewhat melancholy. He just didn't seem as happy as Robert thought he should, because he just met this wonderful woman and they were going to move forward to the fiancé visa process. And Robert said, well, what's the matter? You don't look so happy. He said, I was just thinking that I wasted almost 20 years of my life by not doing this 20 years earlier. I don't know what I was thinking, why I did that, but I wasted so much time by just being afraid to do something like this. And now that I'm here, I'm kicking myself, because I could have had 20 more years with this woman, or maybe someone else that I would have met 20 years ago that I could have connected like I connected here. And it just, I'm just upset with myself. And I understand that. There's a saying that I do at all the seminars, and I've been using this Mark Twain quote for years. And some of you have probably heard it out of me for some time, so excuse me, but I'm going to say it again because I think it really resonates well with what we do. And the quote goes something like this: 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the things that you did do. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, and dream, discover. There's one other word in there that I left out, but guys, that's so important, that 20 years from now thing, because I had guys come up to me this weekend telling me that they were thinking about this 20 years ago. And I can tell you, 20 years from now, you're not going to say, whew, I'm really glad that I dodged that bullet, really glad I didn't do that. No, you're going to be saying things like, why didn't I, take advantage of going over and meet someone? Whether it's with us or someone else, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I want you to go and be successful. I really don't care how you do it. But if you just get yourself over there, that's a huge step, okay? Huge. I think it's much better to go with an organized company that's going to help you, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel and make all the mistakes that guys before you have made, because we try to help you not do all that if you actually listen to what we say. But even if you don't, even if you just go over on your own, that's better than what you're doing now, which isn't doing anything, all right? So the I do it later thing, not a good thing. All right. let's keep going to some of these questions here, guys. You guys are doing great with the questions. Let's see here. We have another question about the K-1 visa, and again, that's about 4 to 6 months. I've got someone here, Butch. I'm not sure I'm understanding the question here. Currently, is this? Okay, I think you're just asking, do the tours include the airfare? And the answer to that now is no, they do not. They used to include the airfare, probably about 3-4 years ago, and then we switched it to where you guys do your own airfare. And the only ones that actually did include the airfare even then were just the ones to the Ukraine. But we were forcing you to buy tickets to get to JFK in New York, and then the tour would start from there, and the airfare would be included from JFK. And for a lot of guys, it was actually more expensive for them to go that route, and then than it is just to buy a round-trip ticket from where they are and not have to be forced to go through JFK. And some of the guys had points and all kinds of other things. So we just lowered the price of our tours by about $1,500 or so and give you that credit to use to purchase your own airfare. And normally guys are going over for way less than that. So they're saving, $500, $600, $700 by doing their own airfare for the tour. So no, the airfare is not included on the group tours, but the hotel is, breakfast is every morning, the airport pickup. So when you do go over, you're giving us your flight itinerary, and we have someone waiting for you at the airport, and they take you to the hotel. And the hotels are very nice hotels that we use in all of our different locations. And then of course the breakfast is included, like I said, the socials, all the one-on-one introductions throughout the whole time that you're there via the hospitality room where the staff is there, kind of like a dating concierge service. They're to support you and help you throughout the whole evening. So that's all there for you, so not a problem. All right, so let's get on to the next reason why some men, and this is going to be number 3, too much red tape. It's just too difficult, John, to do something like this. Hey, guys, if I could do it, you could do it, okay? There's absolutely no reason why you can't do something like this. It is not that difficult. I am here to tell you, this is a fairly easy thing to do. You simply follow our directions. We give you so much information. When you sign up for a group tour, you're very well taken care of. Everything is covered for you as far as the information on what to bring, what not to bring, what to do, what not to do. All of that information is there for you. And then you're given videos before you go, and then you're given an opportunity to call in on a group call with your other tour participants prior to you departing, and we go over a bunch of more information. And then when you get there, guess what? You're doing another excuse me. You are doing another orientation with the staff there, the local staff, and they take care of you as well the whole time you're there. And they make it so easy for you. And then once you do meet someone, you're going through the fiancé visa process. And we have talked about, I'm not going to talk about the fiancé visa tonight in depth because we don't have enough time, but it's really not that difficult of a process. We have a wonderful attorney that we recommend, and there's tons of different attorneys out there that will do this process for you. You just have to supply some of the basic paperwork to them. And it takes, like we talked about, between 5 to 6 months or so for the government to do what they're going to do, but it's really just a hurry up and wait situation. It's not like you have to do a bunch of different things during that time. And then she comes over. And then when she's here, it's up to you two whether you're going to get married or not. You have that 90 days to decide, right? So during that 90 days, either you're going to get married or you're not. So totally up to you guys at that point. But I'm telling you, it is not a difficult proposition doing this. So the red tape thing there, I don't buy. All right. The next, number 2, the second reason why men do not avail themselves of a singles tour opportunity is, even if I go and find someone, maybe she'll just leave me in a couple of years. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because if you're going to worry about marrying someone and then maybe she's going to leave you in a couple of years because of whatever reason, some guys think, oh, she just wants a green card or this or that. Guys, 23 years of doing this, And I can tell you that that happens very, 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 very rarely. And in every single case that has happened, and there haven't been that many over the 23 years, the red flags were there, like beacons, you know, beep, 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 that kind of thing. And just ignored, totally ignored. So, you know, you have to take some kind of responsibility. I don't care who you're marrying. If you're marrying someone from here in the Phoenix area, or someone from Medellin, Colombia, or someone from the moon, you know, it's a responsibility on both your part and her part to make sure that that's a real relationship, that it's committed, that it's loving, that everything's there. When you marry someone from another country, it's not like she gets U.S. citizenship that day. It takes about 5 years for her to get U.S. citizenship. And even during that time, there's from the day you get married until she gets a permanent green card, it's about a 2-year provisional period. And during those 2 years, if the relationship isn't strong, if it isn't going well, if you get divorced during those 2 years, she would have to go back. Okay, so I mean, you know, there are a lot of checks and balances in this. And you know, if you're going to be totally blind to anyone you meet from someone overseas, then you're probably going to be totally blind to anyone you meet here domestically too, right? So, you know, you need to have your eyes wide open when you go into a marriage of any kind and make sure that, you know, it's really right for you so that you don't end up divorced a few years ago, no matter who you marry. So that I don't buy either, that excuse, if anyone's using that. All right. And the number one reason why I think men do not avail themselves of this opportunity is simply fear. You know, fear is something that just stops us from doing so many different things in life. So many different things that men can do and women can do, yet we're afraid of this, or we're afraid of that, and we're afraid of what people might think, we're afraid of what might happen, we're afraid of failure, we're afraid of success, we're afraid of all kinds of different things, and it prevents us sometimes from being great. It prevents us from experiencing things that other people may never experience because of their fears. It prevents us from possibly doing something like this. I remember when we started this business 23 years ago, you know, I was telling my sister about it, and you know, she was saying, "Oh my God, you can't do this, John. Oh, you're going to go to Russia, and then they're going to brainwash you. You're going to come back a communist and all of this kind of stuff, you know." And she was just freaking out, and she was really afraid. And if I would have listened to her, sorry, you know, I love you, and you are a little bit older than me, but hey, if I would have listened to her way back then, I would not have the life I have today. I wouldn't have my wonderful wife, Tanya, if you're watching, which I doubt you're watching. She never watches me anymore. But I wouldn't have my wonderful wife, Tanya. I wouldn't have my wonderful children. I wouldn't have this opportunity to have helped thousands and thousands of men throughout this process over the last 23 years. All because of what? All because of fear. All because, well, yeah, something bad might happen. I better not do that. Don't want to become a communist. You know, that kind of thing. And I think that number one reason is probably one of the biggest reasons why 95% of the men that come, they register, they look at this, they correspond, they do things on their site, but they never get on a plane. They never go over and avail themselves to this opportunity. And only 5% or so do. Think about that. So what, are those 5% guys just that much braver? Maybe. You know, maybe it is. Maybe it is something that is difficult to get over. I don't know. I'm so used to this. I've been doing this, you know, for over 2 decades, right? And so I'm really, really, you know, this is what I do every day. I'm used to this. So maybe I'm, you know, not the best person to ask about this, but all I can tell you is that if this just popped up and I saw this and I was a single guy, I think I'd explore it. I think I'd go over and I'd check it out, because the way I think I would look at it is, well, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's a great vacation. You know, I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'll meet some wonderful people, both men and women. I mean, because you'll make some wonderful friends with some of the guys that are on the tour as well. And if I do meet someone that really does change my life and that I can build something with her together, great. And if I don't, well, I still got a great vacation that's less expensive than a regular vacation to one of these destinations. So why wouldn't I do it? That's what I ask all the time. Why wouldn't I? So anyways. All right, guys. That is at least my list. If you guys have any other ideas of why anyone would not want to do this, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. And you can, let me know. Now, I think we've hit most of the questions here. If I didn't get to your question today, please let me know, and I'll be happy to take care of it. Or if you have something else, please get it in as soon as possible, because we are going to be ending here in just a few minutes. I just want to go over a couple of things here before we end here for the evening. First of all, we are going to be having our seminars like I talked about at the beginning. You may have missed that, but we're going to be coming up because we just finished the ones in Texas, and they were really, really great. You guys were wonderful, supportive, asked a lot of great questions. But we will be doing the seminars coming up in Florida on April 8th. We're going to be in Jacksonville, Florida. Bud's going to be out there. Bud does a great job. Bud will be back here on Monday, and Kirk will be behind the desk here, so we won't have as many technical problems as we did today. Sorry, Rob. Rob's going to get mad at me. And then we have coming up Minneapolis on April 14th and Denver on April 15th. I'll be at least at one of those, if not both of them, and it could be that Bud will be at one of those as well. All right. And then, of course, guys, you got the tours coming up in April, going to all kinds of different places. My gosh, we got the Ukraine coming up with Odessa, or excuse me, with Kyiv and Poltava. And then we do have, right after that, we have Odessa and Nikolaev. And then we have the Colombian tour coming up in Medellin. And then we also have a Costa Rican tour coming up in San Jose. I mean, we got tours going everywhere for everybody. So it's something that you should think about if this is something you think would be good for you. All right. All right, guys. Well, I am going to end this here now for tonight. I really appreciate all of you joining us. And if you have any questions, feel free to call in tomorrow. We'll be happy to answer. We're always here, and we'd love to have you come in and visit us at the office. Our casa, su casa kind of thing. Come on in, visit us, with us. We'll spend some time with you in the conference room, go over everything, what we do, and try to make you feel as comfortable as possible so that you can have all the information you need to make a great decision. All right? All right, guys. Until next time, have a great week. And don't forget about Easter, by the way. That's coming up here this Sunday. And I believe Orthodox Easter is the following Sunday in the Ukraine. But for the rest of Latin America and Asia, Philippines, which is a big deal with Easter, make sure that you get at least a card or a letter to a woman if you have some kind of relationship going on with her. Send her some flowers or something. Let her know that you're thinking about her this Easter. Be a cool thing. All right. All right, guys. Until next time, thanks. Yes, Rob, I am done now.